Hello, Tumwater. You didn't think we were done with you, did you? No. We're happy to be back. I will say we're happy to be inside this time. As you know, we were here a couple months ago for an event to gather signatures. We ran into some trouble having the event inside where we wanted to have it. But we're very happy the Tumwater School District allowed us to exercise our First Amendment rights here at the elementary school today. A couple things I just want to say before we get started. There's been a lot of attention toward this event. Your behavior is a direct reflection on Let's Go Washington and on me and on the young girls who are here to speak today. This is unnecessary because I know that our side of things doesn't get wild and crazy. But I will tell you from experience, there is a certain segment of the opposite side of this argument that will really try hard to get your goat to goad you into a reaction. I'm really asking you not to fall for it. Remember why we're here. We're peaceful. We're here because we believe in truth and we're trying to get something done. And any negative actions, words, is going to take away from that in a way that might not be able to be undone. So can I get a guarantee from all of you today? We have a lot of good speakers today who are part of all facets of this debate that we're having. And I'm going to be introducing them, keeping the day moving along so we can get done around 1:15. I also want to make sure to say that we know that so many people are suffering from the severe flooding and the weather that we've had. And so we're thinking about all of you, and we know you probably have to get back to make sure for some of you cleaning up still and all that. So for you to take the time to be here, we want to make the best use of your time. Obviously, sign the initiatives if you haven't done so yet. A reminder, because Let's Go would kill me if I didn't say this. It's very important that if you have forms, you mail them in. Do not wait any longer. Get those in the mail so they can get them counted over Christmas, because I will tell you, we're down to the wire. There has been such a concerted effort, a physical effort, an effort through vilification online and in the media to stop these initiatives from qualifying. To a certain extent, it has put some significant roadblocks in the way. People are scared to sign them. And so every signature matters. So do not wait. Go home today. If you haven't gotten in the mail, please get them in the mail to do that. Also, I just have to know that we really are in the belly of the beast today. We're in the belly of the beast in a good way and a bad way. We've had some very brave people here in the Tumwater School District. We've had brave school board members who have stood up at great personal risk to themselves to do what's right. And that's what we're here to do. Facts, I think it's Ben Shapiro, maybe, who said facts don't care about your feelings. Yeah, we're telling the truth, and I hate to say it, hi Sarah, hate to say it, but it's not meant to make somebody feel bad or good. The truth is just the truth. Parents have the fundamental right to know what's happening with their kids at school. They don't give up their parental rights when they send their child to a public school. And boys aren't girls. There are fundamental differences. And it's not meant to make someone feel bad. If it does, I'm sorry, but we have to get past this point where we care so much about people's feelings that we're willing to just throw common sense and sanity to the wind. We're not doing that anymore, right? Yeah. One thing you will not hear today, though, is personal attacks against kids. That is going to be a losing message every single time. This isn't about kids who believe that they're transgender. This isn't about ruining their lives or hating them. And the second anyone makes it about them, you lose. You lose on moral arguments. You lose at the ballot box. And these girls that are going to be speaking today have never done that. Not once. They have made this about what it should be about. This is about adults who have made bad decisions and put kids of all kinds in an unwinnable situation. Yeah. And that is where we're focusing our attention and our energy, and yes, at times our anger. So this is not about kids. It's not about hate. It's about truth. Right. Yeah. I want to start with the speaker who's going to talk about the political machine that we're up against. You've probably seen it in motion. It's quite immense. Between now and next November, I predict there will be millions of dollars spent against this effort. There will be already a lot of lies being told and peddled that are absolutely crazy. So it's our job to try to push back against them with, again, truth. Steve Gordon, can you come up and talk about that a little bit? Please welcome Steve.
Thanks, Brandy. So I'm Steve Gordon. I co-chair the Let's Go campaign. Every now and then, Brian Haywood lets me out of the basement so I can speak on his behalf. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. Everybody's had a real tiring week with all the weather we had to deal with. And certainly we had some interesting circumstances around this event that people had to brave to make sure they can be here. So you can see we took safety seriously. We always will take safety seriously as a campaign, and even if we sometimes would get accused of overreacting, we much rather overreact on the side of safety than not. So thank you very much for being here, and we want you to feel safe and welcome. So Rick mentioned real quickly the political issues around this, and I think they're worth talking about for just 1 second because, you know, the vitriol we're seeing against our effort here makes it pretty clear we're over the target, right? The Washington Education Association is a pretty radical force in Washington state politics, and they fund most of the Democratic politicians in our state. And because of that, you know, their allies seem kind of reluctant to speak out. I know that the girls that are going to speak later, several of them reached out to our governor, our superintendent of schools, and other folks in state government say, hey, we'd like to just talk to you and tell you our side of the story, and yet they've been unwilling to listen. And part of that is they've got their allies doing their work for them that are spending money against the campaign to collect signatures. I thought the idea was to protect democracy, right? Didn't we hear that all last election season? So they're attacking a pretty fundamental right of democracy for us to petition our government, collect signatures, and give everybody in this room and across the state a voice in keeping our sports fair and competitive, something that everybody believed in until yesterday, that biology was biology. Now we're told by some WEA sources that they're training people that it's on the spectrum of biology. We can't really tell what somebody's biology is based on genetics. That's crazy, and if they're teaching that to our kids, we got a whole different set of problems, right? Yes. So that's really concerning that we know there's great teachers in our state that want to do things right, but they're working with an organization at the WEA that isn't really on board for those same programs. And so they're pretty radical extremists against our effort to really free kids to compete fairly and to make sure there aren't secrets kept from parents in raising their kids. And that's what this effort's about. And as Brandy said, we're not here to demonize people or marginalize people. There's some confused or misguided kids that they're using as pawns for a political agenda. And those are the people that are pulling those strings that we should direct our ire towards and our effort to oppose and vote the heck out of office. So I've only been to a couple of these rallies so far because of my travel schedule, but I certainly watch them as I see them show up in my feed. And I've noticed my friend Brandy a couple of times calling out to the audience, and when she's talking, says, where are the men? Where are the dads? Why aren't you standing up? Well, I gotta let you know, Brandy, right here. And I know that's a very important call to action, so thank you. But I also look across the audience and I see a lot of other dads and brothers and grandfathers and coaches and probably some brave teachers even in the room that are here. So thank you, men, for standing up to defend these fundamental rights of our kids and our families. It means a lot to have you here, and I'm proud to stand with every one of you. So the last thing I want to say is acknowledge our guest speakers that are here that have gone through some public vitriol themselves. So Anna Lee and Francis, and I know Bailey's going to come up and talk. These kids are really showing the way. I mean, who was this brave when you were 15 or 16? I was just talking to Anna Lee before I came up here. Anna Lee, I got the shakes before I came up here. It's okay if you get a little nervous. You don't show it one bit, okay? So if you didn't notice this week, or I don't know, over the last 2 weeks, a lot of their remarks and their willingness to stand up for truth has really gone across the globe. It's inspiring people not only in Washington and across our country, but some of you may have seen J.K. Rowling. I think she wrote some popular books, some Harry Potter series. She spoke up and really highlighted these kids that are willing to stand up for truth. And it even showed up in Sky News on Australia this week. This is a global movement. And the fact that we have fantastic kids with fantastic families that I've been very honored and blessed to get to know a little bit, they're really lighting the way towards this truth. It really shows what, if we stand up against what we know is wrong, that we will win in the end. This effort will be victorious. So we're here to gather signatures, get these petitions turned in, and get it on the ballot, and restore sanity and common sense to our schools and our playing fields. So thanks a lot for being here. I really appreciate it. On behalf of Let's Go, let's get after it and get these things filled out. Let's go.
Yeah, I call reverse psychology when I say, where are my red-blooded American men? I know you're there. It's just sometimes it's good to have you here so the girls can see that people are standing up for them. But at the same time, to me, it's almost worse to see women standing against girls. And we've seen an awful lot of that. I think that's really troubling to me. I played a clip on the show this week of United States Senator Patty Murray back in 2003 urging, all right, be nice, be nice. We went to boot her back in 2003. She had this impassioned speech where she was urging President Bush to protect Title IX and fair play for girls. Yeah. And I just thought, oh my gosh, we should just take that clip, use it on TV, and say that she supports the initiative to protect girls. Like, what in the world? It's hard to wrap your mind around. All right, I'm going to keep things rolling right along. Our next speaker is someone who I met at an event just like this in Issaquah, and she is just electric. And she is here representing XXXY Athletics, which is a clothing brand that was started by Jen Say. If you don't know Jen Say, she was a very successful gymnast, went on to work for Levi Strauss at the highest levels, ended up losing her job because the woke mob came for her, and she's now been standing up for girls in sports. She started this clothing brand. In fact, I think the girls both you have it all XXXY on? So they've been sending the girls stuff to rock. So Arwen, can you come up? Please join me in welcoming Arwen Becker. Oh, here you go.
So good to see so many men here. I just can't even believe it. This is amazing. You know, in December of 2023, the University of Washington became the first Division I school to offer a women's scholarship to a male player. That was my alma mater, my volleyball team. That was the moment where I woke up to this problem. And it was the moment that God said, Arwen, you need to go into that space. You need to take your social media, which up to this point, even said on the tagline, only positive and inspiring content found here. And it said, I need you to use it because I need you to support these girls. I wasn't called to be the person who was wronged, but I was called to be part of the support. And it was the time in which I heard Riley Gaines speak about the moment where she saw a man, an 18-year-old guy, undressing in her locker room after swim class. Yeah. And I had a visceral reaction. My sports career has spanned 45 years now, and I started it as a competitive swimmer. I was instantly taken back to the time of being an 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old at Juanita High School, where I swam and actually where I graduated high school from. And I remembered what that bathroom was like. And I remember that when you walked off the pool deck, you had to go 4 feet into the bathroom, 2 more feet, and then you got into this cavernous area that was the showers, that had 2 metal poles right in the middle of it with shower heads around it. It took about 6 feet to get from the pool deck into where the most vulnerable girls from the ages of elementary school all the way through high school were showering. And I told my sister about that experience, and she said, "Do you remember when that guy came in?" And she recounted to me a story about her being 12 years old. She was a competitive swimmer, just like I was at the time, of her being in that shower with all the other girls after swim practice, and the locker rooms were also this big, wide open space. They had lockers on the back, but there was no place to hide, no privacy. And she said she was in the shower, and a man walked in as if he could be there, came in through the shower area, through the area where all these girls were getting changed, and walked out the other side. My sister's 52. And that moment absolutely has a reaction for her even to this day. Allowing men into women's sports, into girls' sports, means that we are allowing 18-year-old boys to share that space with 14-year-old girls. I graduated high school at 17. That would have been me as a 9th grader swimming. That is unacceptable.
Yes.
And so here I am, I'm watching 16-year-old girls plead with Washington State residents to do a very small thing, to sign a ballot, so those girls don't have to go through that experience. And to think that a 15-year-old girl, I mean, for all the women in the room, it's not hard to think about how hard it was to be 15.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Prior to social media, my God, it was hard enough.
Yeah.
Just to fit in. And yet you have people like Francis and Anna Lee who are willing to do one of the hardest things, which is just public speaking.
Yeah.
Most of us out here wouldn't be willing to do it.
No.
And they're doing it terrified and willing to, and they can't even vote. Can you imagine what that feels like? The sacrifice these girls are making is extraordinary. Not only just of time, my God, Annalie's whole family has to come here from Wenatchee to speak in a way that she cannot herself do the work that we are all being called to do. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir, you're all here. But now we have to take the one step further. We are 60,000 votes shy. We are 90% of the way there. 90% is not enough. Do we want to be doing this a year from now?
No. No. No.
Do we want to expect Francis and Anna Lee to have security walking around with them to go to another event and not being able to vote on their own behalf next year?
No.
Small things. We all need to take one of the initiatives home. 1, 2, 3 signatures. Nobody's asking you to go do something that you're not willing to do. Maybe that's, stand outside of the grocery store and get assaulted. Nobody's asking that of you. But I guarantee you there are family members, there are friends who haven't signed this because they're doing life, as we all are. But if 67% of Democrats don't think men should be in women's sports, this is an 80-20 issue. We need to get it done.
Yes.
And people ask me, and I'm sure they say the same things to you guys a lot of the times too. How can you stand living there? I love the state of Washington. I am not going to allow some angry, very unhappy, godless people to drive me out of the place that I call home. It said there's no safer place to be than inside God's will. And I know I'm standing right in the middle of it. And all of these girls across the nation, they are willing to stand up and speak out when it is scary and uncomfortable and it's painful sometimes to do. And so we have to do our part. And after we do get this initiative passed and on the ballot, the work does not stop. When I got into this space with XXXY Athletics, this was before Trump signed the EO. And I think a lot of people thought the moment that EO was going to be signed, bravo, everything just changed. There's no men in women's sports. Nothing changed. And the same goes for when this gets on for a vote. Next year, we need to keep speaking about it. We need to keep sharing content. We need to keep making it pressing forward and making it an issue until it is officially dead and gone and we are back to the days that I got to experience as an athlete, where I never once had to consider that I would have to compete at the highest levels against a man. I was the voted most athletic in Juanita High School, something I'm proud of. But the boy who was standing next to me in that photo in my yearbook, there was no way I could have ever beat him. And we all know this. So it's time that we continue to rise up. And I know together we will save women's sports.
Yeah.
And of course, today's about much bigger than girls' sports, which is a significant issue, but it really is more about the principle of the matter. And this is happening in our state. Every time it happens, it's an absurdity. But I've said on this issue, because people are like, you just talk about this too much, you're obsessed with it, there's bigger fish to fry. No, there ain't. And the reason is because if you're trying to convince me that boys aren't different than girls and they have no physical advantage, then I literally cannot listen to you about anything else. Why would I ever listen to your ideas on taxation, budgeting, public safety, complex issues related to emergency management, if you're trying to convince me that there's literally no difference? And that's what it is. It's like, in order to get back to sanity on anything else, we have to start from a position of truth, like we talked about earlier. So this is us saying, and I think there's a lot of people, I hear it from neighbors all the time, who they just don't want to say anything because they're genuinely scared, and why would they not be scared? There's a guy, Ray, are you here? Been collecting signatures? Just say, yeah, if you're here. There's a guy who's been out collecting signatures. He was at a Port Orchard Fred Meyer, either yesterday or the day before. And a man who had his son in the car came up to him and said, with his hand like a gun, bow, bow, you better watch your neck.
Oh my.
Referring, obviously, to what happened to Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You know, that's the unhinged response that some people are getting for just trying to defend truth.
Yeah.
And so we got a big hill to climb here. But I've also said that once a few dominoes fall, I think it'll take 2-3 Democrats in the state where they just come out and say, look, we're not doing this anymore. And then I think like that, this issue will be over. Unfortunately, we haven't found even one brave enough to come out and say it, even though I get texts from Democratic members of the State House and Senate about this issue all the time. And I just say, you gotta be brave enough to say it. They're just not quite there yet. All right, this might not be PC, but I was saying the other day that the lesbians are gonna save America. Lesbians are gonna save America. I don't know if you've seen it. Sorry, is that rude, Justine? Okay. There's that awesome woman down in LA who didn't want to do the locker room, and she's a black lesbian. And apparently on the hierarchy for Democrats, she's still below a white man who thinks that he's a woman. And I was just trying to figure out the hierarchy still. So she's just been telling anybody who'll listen, like, I don't want a man in my locker room, like, that's not okay. And I was just like, oh, I love this woman. And I have another woman here who I love. Justine Detterling is with the LGBT Courage Coalition, and she's
I'm
lesbian.
speaking on behalf of myself today.
Speaking on behalf of herself today, but
Because
she is,
I'm going to be a firebrand.
she's going to be a firebrand,
Responsible. So.
but she is one of the people who will save America. Okay, Justine. There's children in the room, Justine, so not too much fun.
Yes, no, I edited for that. I have to go back. My name is Justine Detterling. I have been involved in gay, lesbian, human rights activism throughout my life. I ran an organization for LGBT people who saw the glaring red flags in the trans lobby years ago. Okay. Society has woken up to the fact that the demands of this lobby harm women, children, same-sex attracted people, and the proper functioning of science and governmental institutions. I want nothing but love, community, friendship, and quality mental health support for children and teenagers who think that they are the opposite sex or a myriad of these non-binary identities. I also want policies to protect kids from abusive parents. However, I want to address some serious problems in the gender identity movement. This has caused the need for these initiatives today. The initiative to protect girls' sports and to protect parental rights, which will be my main focus here. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Much of the reality behind the slogans, memes, and hoisted progress flags is alarming. Trans identities, once very rare, have exploded in young people. Despite the aggressive push to be, quote, affirming and inclusive of gender-rejecting youth, and despite giving them access to hormones and surgeries underage, this is a population still experiencing significant mental health problems, ongoing body dysmorphias, high rates of prostitution, gender and romantic confusion, and political radicalization that has resulted in assault and murder.
Yeah.
Right.
The gender identity spaces young people go to for friendship and psychological support, online mostly, but elsewhere, have serious problems with sexually inappropriate behavior and medical transition cheerleading. They are experiencing serious physical health damage, such as menopausal symptoms in their 20s.
Wow.
Inability to experience their romantic lives fully, bone injuries, sterility, and cognitive impacts. These young people are told lies. We are all being told lies. Not just by activists, but by media, schools, LGBTQIA2++++ organizations, and health institutions, mental health and medical institutions. Youth are told there is proof medical transition saves lives. They are told puberty blockers are safe and reversible. They are told kids don't ever outgrow gender dysphoria. They are told trans men are somehow statistically safer in terms of crime than men who don't identify as trans.
Wow.
They are told that trans men, are more likely to die by murder than other groups like women and other minority groups. And they are told to reject their parents if their parents don't immediately affirm their trans identities, or if their parents worry about the medical effects of these protocols on their bodies long term. Wow. None of this is true, all these things I just mentioned, but they are the pillars of the propaganda talking points of this movement. What I'm saying here is not a moral panic, as the smug progressive establishment likes to pretend. These issues are endemic. They are widespread in this movement. And so I want to ask, are these problems enabled by the fact that teachers are telling your children that there are dozens of genders and they get to pick any gender they want without any consequences? Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. Quote from psychiatrist David Bell, whistleblower from the Tavistock Gender Clinic. This was in the UK. It was shut down for ethics concerns. Things are worse in the United States. Most of the damage around gender ideology today and young people is taking place in schools today. Despite all of this, the establishment in Washington State has enabled policies that will socially transition your child in school, hide it from you, allow your child to run away from home, go to a host home with almost no government oversight, and then seek health-damaging medical treatments as young as age 13 years old, based on weak evidence, while forcing parents to pay for it. Don't believe me? Read the insurance laws and the wording in SB 5599
and the systematic reviews on the realities of pediatric medical transition. Okay.
It's outrageous.
So, in 1841, Scottish journalist Charles Mackay published a book called Memoirs of Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. In it, he documents a long history of the human tendency to get caught up in harmful fads, destructive socially contagious manias, financial frenzies, pointless wars, witch burnings, healing fads. There have been other social contagions of self-harm. And even after humanity experienced the age of reasoning and the age of enlightenment and the scientific method, there have still been a litany of medical scandals and mental health industry scandals. Almost all the people pushing these fads and social contagions believed for sure they were doing good. And I bring up this history for two reasons. We are in a historically relevant social mania right now.
That's right. Yes.
Two, progressives are not the only types of people prone to them. They've happened to religious people, to atheists, to scientists, all kinds of people. It's part of the human condition, and this is the one that we're dealing with now, and it has to be stopped.
Right.
So Washington Journals of England, thank you. Teachers unions, affirming school counselors, Chris Reichwald, you have lost your minds. She said it too, but that's been my go-to for the past 12 months, right? Because you have lost your minds and you push clearly unjust sports policies, sex is a spectrum, educational malpractice, and in your derangement, scaremonger kids and their parents that they're going to be abused by their own coaches and school-affiliated doctors. We all have to push back on this. It's you who are pushing the reckless policies. In 2004, there was another book written by James Sorowecki. It was called The Wisdom of Crowds. The book, unlike The Madness of Crowds, was about how collective minds from different backgrounds can come together to form logical conclusions and effective solutions to problems. To the progressive establishment of Washington State, we, conservatives, Christians, feminists, normie centrists, gay people, Democratic voters, and others have the wisdom to see that you are failing these kids. You cannot continue this. It's not sustainable to keep supporting gender-distressed kids by throwing endless validation and health-harming drugs and surgeries at them. We all have to stand up to this, and I want to reiterate that the educational system does need more men. Men generally are better at realizing that short-term empathy doesn't always lead to long-term better outcomes, just in general. That's a fact. And because not all bad ideas burn themselves out quickly, some of them can last for centuries. So please sign these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I'm going to make a little audible quick, because we obviously are talking about parental rights as well. And I'll be clear, I'm not a parent. I got married a couple years ago. Who knows? We might be. I don't know. Not opposed to it necessarily. I might be aging myself out of it a little bit. But it's been interesting, and I think my producer and I, Nicole, we've always kind of asked ourselves, like, why are we so obsessed with this education issue? We're not even parents. And it's just like, because how could you not care about it? And there's so many parents and teachers and coaches who feel like they can't say anything. It's like, gosh, we've got this massive platform, and we want to use it to try to push, for a better education system, because obviously right now it's in a state of disarray. But someone who has been better than anyone in the state, not even close. No offense, I mean, you're all great, but someone who has just been better at articulating in Olympia the real strange anti-parent policies has been State Representative Travis Couture. And I spotted him in the crowd today. Travis, do you mind saying a couple things? Go for it. And I'm gonna let you guys all in on a secret about Representative Couture that he's made fun of about in Olympia. So when you're watching his session and he's speaking on the floor of the House, you can always tell how angry he is by how much he's leaning. So we have degrees, we would count the degrees, And sometimes he's talking about parental rights and he's like 90 degrees. He's like leaning so far forward. So watch that. It's actually funny because the angrier he gets, the more he leans forward. I'm worried about you sometimes. I think you're going to fall over.
I'll be careful with this plastic podium. Hey, thank you, Tumwater. Thank you. Some of you might live in my district, the great 35th district. There you go. But you know what? A society that doesn't protect and defend and cherish its women, its daughters, its wives is a society that has lost its moral compass. And when it's lost its moral compass, it's up to us to make sure that the leaders who brought us to this place no longer serve a free people. I don't want to preach the choir to you, and you know what? This day is not about me. It's not about legislators or politicians. It's about these girls who are standing up. And it's about these parents who are standing up for their children because a society that does not stand up for its children has lost its way. Yes. You know, Democrats in Olympia told us last session when we were fighting for girls' rights in Title IX that, you know, we had to evolve as a society and that this was akin to, you know, Jim Crow and racism if we didn't allow for boys to compete in girls' sports. Well, you know what? We have a whole women's rights movement.
Yes, yes.
And this is not evolution. What we are witnessing now in Washington State is a devolution of women's rights. And we see a school system that no longer wants to respect the rights of parents, the constitutional free rights of parents to raise their kids. They are the first teachers.
Yeah.
They are the glue that holds the family together, and we must respect families in this state. And I'll tell you what, we don't co-parent with the government, and the state does not own our kids. Like Randy said, this fight is worth having. It's worth having even if you're outnumbered, because our daughters, our wives, they matter. Our kids, they matter. And you know what? Their education matters as well. And we don't want the societal rot to continue to happen in this state. And you know what? We are going to fight. You're all here because you're going to fight. You're going to find some more people to fight. Yeah. We are going to protect girls in their locker rooms, in their bathrooms, and in their sports.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a whole host of people like me, and I saw Representative Walsh here today, who are doing everything we can, but we can't fix anything in Olympia without every single one of you. Every single one of you matters. And you know what? All it takes for evil to succeed is for good people not to say anything. So we're going to use our voices, and we're going to stand up and be accounted for. Thank you.
I didn't even tell him he was going to speak. He just like came up with that. Gosh. Well, now I regret it because usually I'm the fun, interesting, charming one. I'm the passionate one. Now I'm just so stupid. That's all right. No, we're grateful for his voice in Olympia. And when he gets going, there's no stopping him on the floor unless he gets gabbled out. All right, we're going to hear from the girls momentarily. I do want to note, though, that there have been some brave school board members and teachers who have decided to publicly join this fight. If you are an educator or a school board member, will you either stand or put your hand up if you are willing to do so? I get it. That's your livelihood. That is not a difficult thing to do. I don't have to worry about anything when I speak out. Who's going to fire me? I host a podcast. Even if they do, I keep telling my husband I want to be a stay-at-home dog mom. So, I know worse than you. But I understand that's your livelihood, and that's not a joke. So to be there and stand out in this environment, man, it gives me goosebumps. So one of those people is Ryan Jewell, Yale School Board member. He's going to stand up and speak up.
I'm really honored to be here. Appreciate what you all are doing. This is super exciting. I don't know about you all, but does anybody else feel like they were born for such a time as this? My name is Ryan Jewell. Recently elected school board member in Young, fourth generation farmer, and I've been building for over 20 years. Like many of you, I was too busy paying taxes and working to get involved, and that all changed last January. And so I drove up to Olympia and I listened to hours and hours of legislation. And I was impressed with the arguments that were being made, but as we all know, it was just outnumbered. And so I came home to my wife and I said, what they're teaching in school is what's shaping our communities. And it's how kids are voting. And so I jotted down a few things. We live in exciting times, and though the challenges are real, we are not alone. There are more for us than there are against us. The work you're doing today is valuable and appreciated. There's great momentum in Washington State. It's time for conservative voters to show up in large numbers. The days of complaining without action are over.
Yes.
Groups like this are going to bring the change that we desire in this beautiful state. There are some who would attempt to redefine the meaning of words. When they say safety for all children, they mean prioritize these few at the expense of many. Yeah. Our girls deserve safe environments for competition. They need leaders and community members to stand in the gap and guarantee this safety. When they say promote student rights, they mean schools are more equipped to parent and make judgments about the well-being of their own children. There are some who desire to redefine the meaning of love. Love as self-pleasing and selfish, but I know true love is this. Greater love hath no man than this, a man lays down his life for his friends. We live in a time where intellectual arguments are not enough. We are in desperate need of a miracle. As leaders, we need to be equipped to give a response in and out of season. Together, we can outperform on all levels. We are the party of compassion. We are the party who will stand up for the marginalized, and we are the party of love in action. Let us show the world that Washington is still filled with people who love freedom and still believe in one nation under God our children are depending on.
Okay, I'm going to have Bailey, Amelie, and Francis all come up if you could. Stand here for a second. I love these girls. I just love these girls. And honestly, if I did have kids one day, if they grew up to be just like you guys, oh my God, I'd be like, I've done everything right. I'm just meeting Bailey today, but I've known Francis and Amelie now for about a year as we've been fighting this fight, as they made their first steps to come out and speak out about what they were going through as female athletes. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. Their bravery, and it was said earlier, I think, by Arwen, that can you imagine doing anything even remotely close to this at 16 years old? I was partying too much at 16. These girls are not. I was doing nothing meaningful with my life at 16. It's just true. So on a serious note, I want to tell you what it took for them to be here today, because I think it's important for you to know. So we've been dealing with, and really a lot of people in this space, and these girls have been dealing with a level of vitriol that no human being should have to deal with. And they've been doing it in the face of still consistent, unrelenting attacks from the teachers union, from adults, and from the media. To watch my former colleagues in the media paint these girls as anti-trans, which Annalie was just called in a blog post, anti-trans. Somebody said she used what happened to her to get attention.
Wow.
And above and beyond all that, you might have read, the last time we were in Tumwater, there was quite the scuffle. While we were outside,
Yes.
we had to have, security to help Francis get in. So we had a pretty scary moment yesterday. The Tumwater Police Department called Let's Go Washington and let them know that they'd been contacted by the FBI. And the FBI had told the Tumwater Police Department, we don't have a specific actionable threat, but there is some very concerning online chatter from Antifa-affiliated groups that they're going to be in Tumwater tomorrow. Now, we get, unhinged rhetoric all the time. I have a couple open cases that I'm dealing with as a result of my support of these initiatives, but never once in the last year has the FBI felt that the chatter was severe enough or serious enough to let us know about it in advance. So that's why you see such a large police presence outside. We appreciate the Tumwater Police Department as well as. And we appreciate them 365 days a year, not just today. And we also appreciate, I know the Olympia Police Department and some mutual aid was called in, but think about that. So these teenage girls could be here and could talk about the fact that they don't want to play against boys anymore. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is insane. The fact that the media will still paint this as a hateful gathering of right-wing lunatics and will paint these girls as hateful, given all the hate that we're dealing with, and will ignore that, downplay it entirely, is genuinely sick. I'm done with it. I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I will say, just behind the scenes, we met off-site, a few of us, and Annalie's family and Francis, and we were standing around with our security, getting ready to sort of come in a caravan so they could scope a location out. I mean, this is stupid stuff, right? We're just here talking about basic stuff. And we're all standing around, and I made the joke. I said, I don't believe in, I'm not religious. I've said that a million times. I'm sorry to disappoint people. But I know that they are. And I said, Francis, would you? And we're gathered in a circle, and I said, would you just say a prayer for us quick? This girl belted out the best day prayer. I'm not sure. Here we were, and I just recognized how surreal the situation is, and with these girls and their parents, and a 16-year-old girl is praying for her safety, praying that we could come in and speak and they could leave safely. It's unacceptable. It's not right. And I see a few of you crying. It's not right. And I want to say to the Washington Education Association, to Law Families for Freedom, that is spreading dangerous, sick lies that are so easily disprovable and picked up like the media as truth, you're responsible for that.
Yes.
You are responsible for the threats and the hate and the vitriol that teenage girls are getting, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely ashamed of yourselves. All right. So we're going to hear from Bailey. Bailey was a high school athlete in Washington State, played basketball, is now in college, is playing club sports, had to compete against boys at the high school level, and she's going to tell us her story and what it would mean to her for things to be set back straight. Bailey?
Hi everybody, my name is Bailey Anderson. I graduated from Washington High School in 2025. Now I'm studying exercise science in Phoenix, Arizona. And I did not come prepared for this. I just got off the plane 3 hours ago. So, but I'm here because I'm passionate about this, because I believe that young girls should not have to even consider worrying about putting so much time and energy into a sport that can pay for their education, provide them opportunities they can't even imagine, and then have that being taken away from them by somebody who puts in less than half the time.
Yes. That's right.
I've worked at a lot of camps with younger girls and just watching them, throughout 3 days to a week trying to find their confidence in themselves. It's hard enough as it is when you're this tall and you feel like everybody in the gym is watching you, and you're worried about what your parents think, you're worried about what other people think, and you're just trying to make the best out of it. So a lot of the things that our hometown focuses on is the community and building each other up, and we put a big emphasis on growing our programs, and one of the things is that all these girls are coming to these basketball games and they're watching us compete. They watch us every move that we make. And it's hard to ignore when your 6'3" post who goes and plays basketball in college is losing the tip to a boy who is 6 feet tall. I mean, he's out rebounding, he's blocking her shots. All of this is happening. It is not the first time we see this in summer league where boys are faster. You don't even stand a chance, and it's frustrating because even if they're this tall, they're still faster. They can still jump higher. One of the times we were in a tournament, and it's a little bit awkward when you walk out of the bathroom stall and there's boys with mustaches flexing in the mirror. Just throwing that out there. But I believe that God created men and women differently for a reason, and we need to stop putting these young females into such dangerous situations. Thank you.
So our next speaker, the game tonight or tomorrow? Track meet tomorrow. So Amelie and her family drove this morning from Wenatchee, had to take a long way because of flooding. Then they have to immediately turn around and go back to Spokane for a track meet tomorrow, where hopefully you're not going to run against boys. You're not this time. So Annalie Wilson was one of the first people in this day, girls, to speak out about what was happening. And when you're the first, that's really terrifying.
Yes.
And she's lost friends over it. She's going to talk about some of that. But, Annalie could very well be a collegiate athlete. And this is a situation that could genuinely take opportunities away from her and scholarships away from her. And she lost at the highest levels to a biological boy that no matter how much training or preparation, she could never beat him. I mean, he smoked her. And that's not right. And it's not normal. And so, Annalie Wilson, want to come up and tell your story?
Folded all my papers up because I was nervous. So now they're not going to stay straight, but that's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Annalie Wilson, and I go to Eastmont High School in East Wenatchee, Washington. And I'm currently a sophomore that competes in track and field and cross country. And up until this year, I played basketball. I'm here today because I know what it feels like to compete against a biological boy. I had heard about it happening throughout our country to other girls, and I never thought it would happen to me. In 8th grade, I qualified for the Kashmir Junior Olympics in track and field. Only the top 2 athletes from every event advanced to this meet. That year had meant a lot to me because I had dislocated my kneecap playing basketball and spent months going through painful rehab and putting in the work to earn that spot.
Wow.
When I arrived at the Junior Olympics, I had no idea I'd be racing against a biological boy until after the race, when he stood on the podium in first place, and every girl, including me, was pushed down one spot. When my friends voiced their frustrations, and it's all on his team said that if they were going to complain, they would need to go somewhere else. Everything I had worked for and everything those other girls had worked for, all the training, the time, sacrifices, suddenly felt like it didn't matter. When my family and I respectfully spoke up about this issue and it needing fairness and safety for biological girls, we never expected the backlash that would follow. Sorry. We have been called hateful, transphobic, and bigots, and adults have loved calling me stupid, and they have told my parents that they should be ashamed of raising me and making me so hateful. I am often told that I am a sore loser, that I just suck, and that if I want to get better, I should just train harder.
Wow.
My family has been threatened with lawsuits, we've lost friendships, and recently someone even sent my mom a message saying, letting her know that I had better have a bodyguard because of how hateful I am.
Wow.
I've also been told that by speaking up, I would be the one responsible if that transgender athlete decided to take their life.
No, it's not true.
Do you know what it's like to carry that weight at 16 years old? No one should ever have to go through that.
You can do it. It's wrong.
No one on the other side of this issue seems to be worried about the girls who are being affected by this, but they are fully supportive of those few transgender athletes. It makes me feel like the feelings of the transgender athletes are all that matter, and that our voices do not matter.
Yeah, you matter.
Sorry, I wasn't gonna cry, but I can't start crying. Leaders and adults on the other side are standing loud and proud for them, while girls like me are silenced for simply speaking the truth of our own experiences. When we use our voices, we aren't met with compassion. We're met with threats, insults, and intimidation. We are asking a simple question. When will our leaders and other adults that know boys should not be in our locker rooms or competing against us have the courage to stand up for us?
Yes.
I can't believe the awful things that have been said about me and my family, all because I'm asking for fairness, for safety, and for girls to be heard. People like to tell me that this isn't a big deal, or that there aren't many transgender athletes, or that it's just dumb high school sports. But since 8th grade, I have competed against 4 biological boys that I know of. 4 times I have watched girls lose their rightful spots on the podium, in rankings, and in their confidence. And this is not just about high school sports. For me, my friends, and for so many more female athletes across Washington State, this is about our dreams. We train for hours, we push through pain, sweat, and you can ask your coaches and parents about the tears. I know for me, there's been a lot of tears. We sacrifice because our parents and coaches have taught us that if we work hard and we are disciplined, and that if we give it our all, we can achieve our goals.
That's right. Yeah, true.
That belief is what I'm fighting to protect. I've continued to speak out because I know how it feels to have something you earn taken away, and I'm not alone. Girls across Washington State have messaged me. Girls who are discouraged, hurt, and scared to speak up publicly. They told me that they have lost podium spots and rankings and awards. They've also shared that if they try to protest, even peacefully, they're threatened with suspension by their schools, coaches, or athletic directors. It leaves them feeling unseen and unheard. As female athletes, we often feel like our hands are tied and our voices are being ignored. We feel like we do not matter. Our fairness and safety are being dismissed by the adults who are supposed to protect us. So today, I want to speak directly to Governor Bob Ferguson, Superintendent Chris Reichdahl, and the WIAA. We are asking you to listen to the female athletes in Washington who are being directly affected by your policy of allowing biological boys to compete in women's sports. You have stood up for the transgender athletes, but you have not stood up for us.
Yes.
We matter too, we have voices, and we have stories. And we deserve protection in our locker rooms, in our sports, and the opportunities that we have worked so hard for.
Yeah.
Sorry. Governor Bob Ferguson recently said, Washington is the best state for women's sports in the country. Okay, sure. I was shocked, and I'm sure many of you were too. How can he proudly say that? Has he not read the letters that have been written, the stories that we've shared, the pleas from girls who just want a fair chance in their own sport? Governor Bob Ferguson, Washington is not the best state for women's sports, and it won't be until every girl knows that when she steps on that court, that field, that starting line, etc., she is competing on a level playing field. All we are asking for is simple: fairness, safety, and respect. The very reasons women's sports were created.
That's right.
And Superintendent Chris Reichtel, you have said that Washington Public Schools must provide a safe and non-discriminatory environment for all students,
Yep.
so that all students can thrive. Chris Reichtel, I need you to hear this clearly. We are not thriving with boys in our locker rooms or with boys in our sports. When you say all students, it seems that you have forgotten that all includes biological girls.
Yep.
You are not upholding the very standard that you claim to stand by. I am tired of adults twisting this into something hateful when it isn't. I'm tired of being called awful things just for saying what is right. This is not about hate. This is not about discriminating against transgender athletes. This is about protecting girls, physically, emotionally, and competitively.
Yeah.
I understand that these transgender athletes are just kids and are following what adults have told them is right. And I understand what it feels like to be hated. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And it makes me sad to read the awful comments that adults say about me and these transgender kids. Neither of us deserve it. No matter where you stand on this issue, it's obvious that the current policy is not working.
Yes.
Is not working for either side. It's just fueling hate and anger, which I've learned by watching adults the past year with this issue means nothing is solved. I've learned firsthand that doing what is right isn't always easy and it isn't always popular, and a lot of times I feel alone. But if I could stand here at 16 years old and take the hits, the insults, and the threats, then then the leaders of the state can also find the courage to do what is right too.
Yeah.
Governor Ferguson and Superintendent Chris Reichtel, I've invited you several times to sit down with me, to hear my story, and to hear the stories of other girls across Washington State. To talk to me face to face about what we're experiencing and how it's affecting us. But I haven't heard from you yet. We also deserve respect and to be heard. I love that Justine Detterly, who is here, pretty sure that she is.
She's over there.
Yes, okay, there you are, yes. What she said, I really liked it, was bodies play sports, not identities.
That's right. That's good.
And that line struck me because it captures the truth that some are trying to overlook. It cuts through the noise and the nonsense and gets to the heart of the conversation. That sports are about physical competition, fairness, and the reality of how male and female bodies are different. In closing, I'm asking every eligible voter to please sign this initiative. Because I can't sign it, but you can. You have the power to protect fairness. You have the power to protect girls' safety. You have the power to show us that we matter and that we have a voice. Your signature isn't just ink. It isn't just a mark. It's a message to every female athlete across Washington State that we are worth protecting, that our dreams matter, our voices matter, and our opportunities matter. Thank you.
We have one speaker left today. I have a little housekeeping thing, and then you guys can all be on your way. Feeling much better about yourselves, I think, for being here.
That's right.
We saved our next speaker for last because we're on her turf. She is a student in the Tumwater School District, which I think makes it even more difficult in a sense to do this, because there's a lot of people in this school district who don't believe in what she's saying and what she's standing for. I don't know many adults with the moral clarity and confidence in their position than Frances Stout has at 16 years old. She's going to tell her story that she sat out her final basketball game of the year because a biological boy was playing on the other team. She's since become such an important voice for this movement toward common sense and sanity. Tumwater, join me in welcoming one of your own, Frances Dowling.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frances Stout. I am here today to tell you all about what I've gone through and what I'm trying to have you support. And I'm here because I'm mad. And I'm mad at what is happening in the state of Washington and beyond. And I'm mad that this is being allowed to happen to me and to other girls all around. Before I start, last time I was here in Tumwater and Olympia area, there was protesters threatening violence, using their voices, sirens, pots and pans to try and drown me out because I'm speaking the truth, and that they have to hide behind their masks and coverings and loud noise to try and silence me because they know that they are wrong and they are messed up, and they have to do that to try and make me feel bad about myself. As scary as that has been for me, I've been able to rely on a Bible verse that the Lord, my Savior, has been able to bring to me in times that are very hard. Like this, it is Deuteronomy 31:6, and it says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." Sometimes I can be terrified, but I know that I have courage, and I know that comes from God, and I know I can be strong, and that I am speaking the truth, and that what I'm trying to stand up for is very important, and it should not happen anymore. There are a few misconceptions about the narrative surrounding Title IX, as well as threats that women are facing in sports and public spaces. Last February, when I was 15 years old, there was an 18-year-old man in my locker room who was also playing against my girls' basketball team. Because of this, I chose to sit out and protect myself. When I expressed my concerns to my principal, Zach Suderman, as well as my athletic director, Jordan McGrath, I was told by them that my feelings didn't matter and that they were not going to admit or even acknowledge that this man was, in fact, a man.
Relation of duty.
Exactly. They were not going to do anything to stop it, and as a result of me saying that this man was a man, I was investigated by the WIAA in Tumwater School District for harassment and bullying and for misgendering this individual.
Wow.
I will tell you all right now, there are only two genders, and that is male and female. My own school guidance counselor, Anna Bush, publicly came out against me in a letter to the district, as well as the teachers union and other teachers, coaches, and administrators at my school, posting several social media posts against me. I was called horrible names that I cannot repeat to you guys. I was told I was going to hell, had people threatening to show up at my house, and have lost so many so-called friends. I received more hate than you could imagine, both in person and online, from people that are hiding behind their screens and trying to make me feel bad for standing up for myself and other girls. I was told by my principal if I ever do so much as said anything like this again, that I will be subject to further discipline and progressive consequences.
Wow.
Wow.
Sadly, I've also had adults come up to me in private telling me they support me, but they are too scared to say something as they were worried about their job. Imagine being a 15-year-old girl going to school each day, walking through the hallways, knowing that these people who are supposed to be there for me were not only not there for me, but they're publicly coming out against me, spreading hate against me and calling me a bigot, a liar, a transphobe. That's horrible, and it shouldn't happen to me, and it should not happen to any girl in the state of Washington or in this country. When the voice belongs to a young woman like myself, who dares to stand up to autocrats such as Governor Bob Ferguson, Attorney General Nick Brown, and State Superintendent Chris Reichdahl, the agenda shifts. That agenda only serves a protected class who goes along with their radical gender ideology and that tries to push out girls from their own sports.
Yeah.
That leads to the biggest lie of all, that us girls and women will be pushed out of the spaces that we occupy without a fight. Washington is in desperate need of immediate intervention, as the individuals I previously mentioned will continue to do everything in their power to push radical gender ideology into our schools, interfere with healthy family structures, silence free thinking and debate, remove religion from the public square, and threaten anyone who gets in their way with frivolous allegations and lawsuits.
Yeah.
Chris Reichdahl, a grown man who is so threatened by the truth that he literally looks the people of Washington in the face to tell them that there are more than two genders, and that this is not even an issue as it affects such a small percentage of students and athletes. What about me, Chris Reichdahl? What about me? And what about all the girls that are having to face this in their sports, in their locker rooms? It has affected me more than you could know. You stand up for supporters who call a 15-year-old girl a bully, liar, bigot, transphobe, and much more. How dare you? How dare you allow that to happen to a 15-year-old girl who is standing up for her own rights?
That's right.
My own principal, Zach Suderman, has thanked those who supported this 18-year-old man who is in my locker room for their advocacy while threatening me with further discipline. What about me, Zach Suderman? What about me? What about protecting me? Men should not be participating in women's and girls' sports, and boys and men should not be in my locker room or my bathroom. That's common sense. I'll say this right now, go ahead and investigate me all you want. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to stay quiet. You can use your woke idea of progressive consequences against me all you want. I'm calling on you all to please stand with me. Please support me. You have the power to speak up. You don't have to be an athlete. You just have to have common sense. Even the boys who are outraged at this can stand with me and stand with all of the girls in Washington.
That's right.
It is the job of mothers, fathers, grandparents, coaches, teachers, administrators, and American citizens to protect our girls, both physically as well as constitutionally under the 1st and 14th Amendments.
That's right. Yeah.
I I'm asking you all to please sign this initiative. It will do more than you know, and your signature will help all of us girls to be able to know that when we can step on the court or wherever we're playing our sports and we can walk into our locker room or bathroom, that we know we will be protected and not have to be around a man or a boy trying to take over our own space.
That's right.
Please. I'd like to thank Brandy Cruz. Thank you so much for getting me started. I would also like to thank Let's Go Washington for letting me come here to speak to you all and share my story with you guys and share what I believe in so passionately. It is us who will be the turning point in this country. No riots, mockery, threats, or violence will penetrate our minds. We're based in faith, righteousness, and truth, and I will tell you this is a foundation not easily shaken.
That's right.
As a 16-year-old girl now, I have enough belief in my principles to willingly subject myself to the harshest criticism, threats, and evil intentions. How interesting that it has only propelled me to greater heights. I'm asking again, you guys to do the same. You have the power to speak out regardless of your age, job, religion, social status, or gender. You don't need to be a politician, professor, or expert. You need to have the bravery to look a lie in the face and choose not to accept it.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
The truth has been and always will be that biological men do have an advantage over women. They're stealing the trophies from women who have dedicated their lives to earning them, who have worked countless hours trying to spend their time to get better and perfect their sport, and working hard to just even have an opportunity to play.
Exactly. Yeah.
We must stop pretending that people like Bob Ferguson, Chris Reichdahl, and Nick Brown care for our children. They champion these causes and villainize those who try and get in their way.
Yeah. Money, money, money.
Yes. What have they done for me? What have they done for you? And what are they going to try and do to your future children, grandchildren, or teammates? Taking away parental rights is of the utmost importance to them. They will do everything in their power to do this and try and push you away and have a direct impact on your children, pushing this woke ideology into their brains.
Yeah.
When they silence your voices as parents, we have lost. Washington Democrat Senate Majority Leader Jamie Peterson just said, and I quote, "Parents don't have a right to have notice. They don't have a right to have consent about their child's health care decisions. If they don't, who does?" I'm encouraging you guys to sign this other initiative to protect your relationship with your children and make sure that the government is not getting their hands on your children and doing secretive things behind your back.
Yes.
The problem is not going away. Again, men will continue to have the medals placed around their necks, while it is us girls who feel the consequences on the weight of our shoulders. I'm praying that each of you will find the courage within yourselves to speak out, have conversations around the dinner table about what is right and what is wrong. Teach your children that they will never be in trouble for speaking up for themselves in a respectful manner, regardless of the culture's consequences.
That's right.
Pray for those who are confused and vulnerable. Pray for our schools. Pray for our country. Pray for the people who have this idea in their mind that what is going on is okay and should be happening. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." Do not be timid.
Amen.
You have all the tools you need to speak up for what is right and protect yourself, your daughters, your granddaughters, your children. Protect us, please. You may feel small, but don't forget, the silent majority is awakening and we are bigger than you have ever seen before. I'd like to end by saying this. This is speaking directly to Chris Reichdahl, Governor Bob Ferguson, and Attorney General Nick Brown. We see right through you and your lies. We see right through it. What we see is gutless men trying to stifle the voices of us young female athletes. You have no courage. You have no guts. You are absolute cowards. I'm done dealing with this. I've had enough. I'm done trying to pretend that it's okay. I know it's not. This is wrong. Everyone knows it is wrong. I'm done. I'm calling your bluff, and I'm calling on President Trump to please take notice of what is going on in Washington State and how these out-of-touch politicians are trying to push their ideas onto us and ruining the state. I will not stop until I know that I can be protected. I will not stop until I know that I can go and play my sport without having to play against a man. I will not stop until I can walk into my locker room or my bathroom without having to see a man undressed, changing, looking at himself in the mirror. I will not stop. And I'm asking everyone listening to fight with me. Please fight, fight, fight. You will not stay silent. Thank you.
Really quickly, I'll have 2 minutes and I'll have you out the door, but if I can get everyone's attention, I do want to recognize the families of these young women. If you're willing to come up, if you don't want to, that's totally fine. You can maybe just wave. It has taken the commitment of every single one of their family members, a lot of late night texts trying to convince them that we could keep them safe, and every parent's concern, and even being willing to listen to their girls and saying, I want to go, even if there might be a risk. That is something special, so thank you guys so much. A thank you to all of our speakers today. A round of applause for Let's Go Washington, Karen and County. County has been in over here so many hours trying to make this happen. Another reminder, you can pick up some packets on your way out with more initiative forms. Here's the key. You need to mail them back by December 19th. You need to get them in the mail by December 19th. So gather as many as you can. You can turn them in with one signature or with a full page, but please grab them on your way out because it is going to come down to the wire. We are not 100% confident that we're going to get there yet. Another quick reminder on your way out. I think the ne'er-do-wells have dispersed, but please, everyone, do not allow them to goad you into a response. We are better than that. We are not going to be the people acting foolish outside. We don't want to put police in that situation. I know you have a lot going on with the flooding and everything. The fact that you took time to come here and to be here for these young women means everything in the world. So please get home safe, take care of yourselves and your families on this holiday, and thank you so much for being here.
I don't want to.